going now, mate. Recording has started, and thank you for joining me, Mr. Tom Tremayne.
No problem.
Obviously, we do a lot of like videos, like Meet the Amber Army and all that. I think you may have been part of one of them back in the day.
Yeah, I think I've been in a couple of videos, interviews and that sort of thing. So, but this is the first one I've done over Skype. So,
Well, circumstances have brought us to the point where we've needed to find this kind of solution to be able to do this kind of thing. So, thanks for taking the time to join me today, Tom. I have missed you a bit.
Not too much.
No, I miss all the boys over the county at the moment, and imagine that's the same for yourself at the moment, mate.
Yeah, I think it's that community, isn't it? I think you always take it for granted, I suppose, sometimes, don't you? But and I suppose every time you get to the sort of the close season, then you start to realise then what you're missing, and and you can't wait for the season to get started then and get back into it and see the old faces.
The only thing is, we don't know at the moment what we're going to be looking forward to. Uncertainty around this. I mean, everybody's coming up with their theories on how they think things are going to be resolved. People are coming up with their theories on how football, or how best football should operate, within this situation. But there's nothing out there so far that I've read or seen or heard that, for me, sounds like a good solution. Have you come across anything, or have you got your own ideas on what you would do if you were in like one of the heads of the FA now? How do you think you'd go about this situation?
I thought about this a lot, actually. A lot of time to myself to think about this, and honestly, I like you said, every solution that I think I come up with, I think, oh well, that's gonna be disappointing to someone.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you could, for example, just end the season there and just say, okay, we'll do what we did way back, when World War II broke out, and just it's a write-off. That's probably, it would be very disappointing for a lot of clubs, but I think it might be the best way forward. It's hard to say or hard to see how you could really continue the season. Well, we don't really. That's the thing. We don't really know when it's going to kick off again, do we? That's the thing. If we're going to be here for another 6 months, of lockdown, that's going to eat into next season as well.
Yeah.
There's just no good solutions, is there?
No, I mean,
as I can see.
For what I've listened to, there's a lot of people putting out a lot of different ideas and everything. I've got my own idea on how I think the situation should be dealt with in the more immediate term and then the long term. I think if you cancel this season, for me, it's a season that's 3/4 of the way done. Now, a lot of people are saying if we're going to kick next season off on time, we've got to cancel this season. But I don't see the point on cancelling a season that's 75% complete to make way for the season that hasn't even kicked the ball yet. I don't see the point doing that. I mean, what I would rather do is skip a following season rather than erase a season that's been 75% complete.
So you reckon just continue this season
when it's
season instead?
Yeah. So
okay.
So what you'll do, right? If they're able to kick this season back off in June, then there's a way that they can finish this season, have a break, and then start next season later to start. Because obviously people want next season, but the next season, I don't think the numbers of the years have to have the deciding factor on what a season is. So basically, finish the season however you've got to. And then when you start next season, whenever it is, whatever has happened the season before, obviously the season before always has an impact on what happens on the season after. So it doesn't matter when it is, it's just a matter is you'll be carrying on from the season before onto the new season when they're able to start it. But I don't see the point on cancelling a season that's played as much football as it has to make way for a season that a ball hasn't even been kicked in yet. We're county fans. I mean, we go to obviously I know you go to the majority of home games and some away games. I go to pretty much all the home games and, a good percentage of the away games. Me, as a football fan, that has forked out a lot of money to go to those games. I don't like the thought of all of that football being erased. I didn't get all my money, to travel up and down the country with the county for those games I travel to mean nothing in the future.
Yeah. And
See,
I totally get that argument. The other thing I suppose could be done, is like you said, finish this season whenever it can be finished.
mm-hmm.
Let's say there's only enough time for like half a season next season. Perhaps do like a little cup competition of some kind, with a bit of prize money.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, that's what I've said.
Mm.
This is my full plan, right, for what I think that should work with the season. Now, I'm doing this. I was actually going to do a bit of a video on this myself, and the thing is, I've spoken about it so many times, so I don't really need to do that now because we're talking about it now. But my plan is now, right, is for the Football Association. Right now, this is just for England. I mean, however the other countries go about it, they can go about it in their own way. But for England and obviously UEFA for the Champions League and everything like that, what I've said is for them to come out and say, now, to play it safe, there's no football until September, and there's an action plan in place to fund clubs who are going to be in financial trouble up until then. So the FA will do their own furlough type scheme for players, depending on whether certain players are willing to take a particular pay cut. Because some of it, obviously, we're talking players on hundreds of thousands of pounds a week. Are we talking like the FA are going to subsidise their wages for them? What we have to do is sort of meet in the middle and say, you take this pay cut. Or what the government could do, because the football players pay so much tax, is have a tax back kind of like tax credits for football clubs, whereas I don't know, the government say 50% of the tax we take from your footballers will give back to your club to help you keep afloat. Potentially something like that. And then an automatic contract extension for every player right up until the end of this season. So where certain players' contracts are going to end, like sort of end of June, start of July now, make it so their contracts are extended until the end of this season, and make it so they have to negotiate that as part of the paying the money back kind of scheme to keep the clubs afloat. As soon as they work out the commercials on everything, they can then restart that season, say in September. By November, the season will be done. And they've got plenty of time to do it, plenty of time to put the right sort of safety precautions in place, and hopefully by the end of it, fans can start coming back to it, because it may even be the first few games are going to be played behind closed doors while they put the right things in place. Talking about COVID testing for all players, no players are eligible until they've been COVID tested. No staff are eligible to be there on match days unless they're COVID tested. No club owners can go there unless they've been COVID tested. And then on match days, every single person walking into the changing room area, obviously you have your social distancing for each player, and then what they have to do is have their temperature taken by a temperature gun before they can enter that area. So then that they're going in there clean. So the only way the disease can spread is if somebody's got it to pass it on. Now, if they can eliminate everybody and say they've been COVID tested recently and they're eligible to play, and then they turn up, they've had their little gun, pointed at their head, and the temperature's correct, then obviously safety is the big issue for players. And then hopefully by the time, it may not need to go to that extent. We might be out of the woods by then, but we might not be. But what I'm saying is, say now, September is when we're looking to restart the season. Give them plenty of time to get everything ready, put the right commercial setup in place, restart the season. They'll finish that season then by November. And if everything goes to plan, great. Have December off, because if we're still in this situation by then, they can still keep putting things in place to make sure fans are going to be safe to go to games for the start of the new season. Or by December, what I'm thinking is, like you said, a one-off tournament. My idea is to split the 92 clubs of the Football League into 10 groups. So what you'll get is 2 groups of 10 and 8 groups of 9, and then have it so there's a mixture of Premier League, Championship, League One and League Two in those groups.
So Cup.
Yeah. So any loss of revenue for the smaller clubs can be recouped through that because they're going to have bigger clubs that they're going to be playing against. Obviously, the smaller clubs aren't going to do that well. But what you could do then is have a playoff, basically. So the top two in the division go off into like the winners' playoff. The second two go into a next playoff. Maybe have a third playoff then for the next two teams. So you'll have like champions, an intercontinental, and then a bronze tournament playoff. So all the clubs, so the majority of the clubs then carry on playing past that, or maybe even then, all the bottom clubs then play in like a round robin then as well to determines, I don't know, something. I mean, there's all sorts that could be done, on the back of that. So we're talking 16 and 18 games for everybody, depending on what group they're in. So that 16, 18 games can be done in 2.5 to 3 months easily. There will be TV money for everybody in this. Obviously, the biggest share should go to the Premier League, of course, because the Premier League clubs are the reason why that TV money will be generated. And then, so basically, they'll have a one-off competition with that to CS8 through till May, because that playoff then will go from about mid-March to the end of May. Quite comfortably, we'll be able to bang on from there. And then, when you come to that, then you can have your usual pre-season and come around to the new season. So the new season would be the 2021-22 season. And then this current season, the 1920 season, everything that happens in that season then carries over to the 21-22 season and just have that one-off, we even call it the COVID Cup if you must, but then, do you see what I mean?
Yeah. No,
so
that's yeah.
That's what I think, because the reason I'm saying that they can't void the season, obviously, me as a supporter, that's my personal view on it. I don't want all the football that I've paid to go and watch this season to just be erased and be meaningless. And at the same time, you look in the Premier League, look at the likes of Leicester and Sheffield United. If they void this season, both of them miss out on Champions League football, where Leicester are pretty much nailed on that they're going to get it. Sheffield United have got a good chance of getting it. Now, if the FA decide to void the season and they miss out on it, if I was Sheffield United and Leicester, I'd be knocking on the door and serving them with a freaking lawsuit to say this is our potential loss of revenue from being denied Champions League football, and then that trickles down then, mate. Championship playoff and promotion, Leeds and West Brom looking again promoted to the Premier League. They're the two going away at the top two of the Championship. If they don't get promoted after playing 75% of their season and being in the position they're in, tell you something there, they'll be dropping, we're losing all this Premier League money, lawsuits, EFL, FA, taking them to court. Anyone who got a chance of getting into the playoffs in the Championship will be dropping those lawsuits down as well, to say we could have got the playoffs, so therefore we had the opportunity to get the Premier League, and this is the potential loss of revenue that we're serving you with. So the FA will be taken for millions, possibly even billions. If you factor in it down all of the divisions and all the loss of revenue from promotions. And then
obviously just ruined football, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, straight away, you look at the Leasing.com trophy final. How much money do Salford and Portsmouth stand to make? Hundreds of thousands each from that final. So if that doesn't get played, straight away, bang, we didn't get to play our final. We're fucking suing you. And then the League Cup got finished. I know, and Man City won it. But the FA Cup, there's loss of revenue in advancing, because of the prize money. FA gets sued for all the prize money and any of the TV money that could have been made for any of them clubs. That's still in the FA Cup.
I think one thing we can say for certain, though, is we don't want to just end the season as it stands and say, well, whoever's in the promotion places, you go up, and whoever is in relegation, you go down. Because that was one of the ideas that was floated about, and I was never a fan of that.
No, and I'm not a fan of no promotion or relegation, because you can't deny promotion to anybody. As much as you can't enforce relegation on somebody who's still got games left to save themselves, you can't deny promotion to somebody who stands a chance of promotion. You can't, what was I going to say then? But what you can't do then as well is just say nobody wins anything on the back of it. Look at the Champions League and Man City. Man City have got a chance to win the Champions League, because if their ban doesn't get overturned, there's 2 years out of the Champions League, and this is their last shot. 2 years. And 2 years with no Champions League, they'll lose some players who will want to play Champions League football. So their chance of winning it when they come back on the other side of this now are going to be slim. So at the moment, they've got a very good chance. There's another reason why Man City won't want the season voided, because they'll want to carry on with the Champions League.
Yeah.
Anyway, mate, we've spoken for 15 and a half minutes on this. I think we've touched base on everything. I think voiding it is just the easy way. People are just saying, "Oh, they just got to void it to make way for next season." No.
I mean, the situation in World War II. When did the season end there? I think it was a little bit earlier on, wasn't it? In fairness, I think it was.
If it was only half and less, then yeah, I'd agree with it. But too much football play, 3/4 of the season been played. You can't just erase all that. Well, that's my opinion on it, anyway.
Yeah, I think, like you said, I think if we could have like a little tournament, because that's what I was thinking. If it can be done.
Yeah.
Otherwise, probably voiding the season is probably the only choice, isn't it? If for some reason that can't be done.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't see why it couldn't.
You're going to have to provide the clubs the opportunity to keep making revenue. Otherwise, the FA are going to have to keep telling them, mate. The thing is,
they can always do FIFA tournaments,
Well, there's FIFA tournaments.
Players on FIFA.
I mean, people who represented us didn't fare well, did they? Type people who I think he was quite unlucky. He lost in that opening game in the when the Leighton Orient started, and then that latest when Tristan Abrahams got hammered, didn't he, 3 times?
How come you didn't get on there?
Me, I'm not that good at FIFA, mate. I'm good, but I'm not. I'm not one of these that sits in front of it, night and day, playing away, like some of them do. I mean, for that Thai FIFA guy, he's on it every bloody day from early till late to be as good as he is. It's just no one's got the time to to do that unless you're exceptionally good to start with.
Yeah.
But I want to touch on the fact that the Amber Army group, obviously formerly the County Choir. So you are one of the founding members, aren't you?
Yeah.
We've had plenty of people come and go over the years, but it's a bit like The Walking Dead, isn't it? You don't have many of the originals on The Walking Dead. What you've had is people come along, then leave, and then more people come along and stay, for a while. Obviously, with you, you're one of the originals. So, would you say the group's come a long way?
Yeah, we've seen a lot of change, haven't we? Definitely. But I think it's almost like a brand now, isn't it? In a way. And I think that no matter who is part of the group, I think it'll always be the Amber Army.
Mm-hmm.
No matter who's leading it, no matter who's a part of it. I think that's the important thing, isn't it? Really.
I wouldn't like. I don't like to think that we got anyone leading. I think it's more of a group. But then there's a few people, obviously like myself, who take the lead on some things, just because we've been doing it for so long. And the new and the younger ones tend to look up at us on that kind of thing, But it's been a long way from the Conference South days, in the shed, over Spitty Park, or coming up through the conference and now Football League,
going more organised now, I think.
Yeah. Then it was just a rabble of us thrown together, and we just started talking, and from there. Well, what I like is what we're doing for the club now, off the field as well as in the ground, outside the ground as well as in the ground. In the ground, we're as good. I debate whether we're as good as we've always been. Actually, come to think of it, because I don't think we're anywhere near what we used to be.
No, I wouldn't. No.
I think the problem we got is a lot of the older ones have sort of moved along a bit, and the younger ones with the lighter voices have come along. As much as the younger ones are enthusiastic, we just don't tend to have
a lot of energy, definitely.
Yeah, but they'll get big voices once their bollocks drop, I suppose. Aye. So, so you're missing the football then, mate? Obviously.
Yeah, of course. I think it's like I said before. I think it's the community really that you miss the most, isn't it? Seeing all the old faces and you just can't replace that, can you? Really?
It is. there is a big community spirit, around supporting your local club, isn't there? Because it's all, sort of your own people who you know well, and it's like people you've been seeing over there for years, and you're a real part of it, which is why I've always been a fan of supporting your hometown club, as I know you have as well. There's not, there's one thing to jump on the glory of a big club hundreds of miles away, but
You get to connect to those kind of supporters,
Yeah.
And I think, like, the people over the county, not only are they really supportive of the club, but they're also, like, really supportive of each other as well, which I think is really nice. And you just get that whole, like, warm feeling whenever you're over there,
Yeah,
Everyone's in it together, everyone's focused on this one thing, and that's for the club to do well. Everyone's got different opinions about it, how things should be done. There's obviously the odd squabble every now and then. Especially if you're on social media. But
so you're not social media, so you're not going to be as familiar as the with the group County Chat as well. I am. Mm-hmm. So County Chat is about I nicknamed it the DOWB. It's the den of whinging bastards. Honestly, right? We could win 1-0, right, against a shit club and scrape through, and people are moaning. Like, oh yeah, okay, then we probably should have done better against a shit club, but even then when we play well, but we lose 1-0 against a great club like Bradford, for example, we go to Bradford and we lose 1-0 on the back of a mistake, defensive error, and they're whinging. I mean, they're always whinging, and I'm thinking these people now, they're going to be appreciative, of having football again, whether we're doing well or not. So I'm thinking, the DOWB would take that crap football, as they called it, right now over no football.
Mm.
And to be fair, yeah, I mean, I didn't label this so much as crap. I'm quite realistic with the fact that we're Newport County for one. But I think when you follow Newport County in the non-league, and you realise that you come up, I've seen Newport County rise 2 levels. Would it be this, I imagine it'd be a couple more for you, wouldn't it? Because I know your dad took you back in the earlier days as well. And well, when you come up another level, you've got to adapt to that level. And we've adapted League Two. We made the playoff final last year, but we punched well above our weight because we weren't fancied for that at the beginning of the season. We were seen as mid-table, possibly in the scrap towards the bottom. Definitely not finishing in the playoffs, and definitely not getting to the freaking final. But we did. So we punched well above our weight. So this season has been more of a reflection of where we are in terms of our budget and our club stature on where realistically we should be.
The expectations haven't, matched the the budget or the players or anything really, is it? Like you said, punching above our weight.
Yeah. So for me, for this season, right? Yeah, I know it's not been pretty and it's been disappointing, and I may have said 1 or 2, callous sort of Facebook posts about the team, for their performance.
You do, heat of the moment, isn't it? And that's the thing with football is like emotions run high, and you tend to run with them, don't you?
When it comes to a point, you're going onto a public group on social media and you're actually criticising the manager, saying that he's lost the dressing room, making up your own versions of it, just to try and vent, your frustration out on them through social media by saying Flynn needs to go, he's lost the dressing room, whether you're saying that you don't like Matt Dolan or you don't like Jamil Matt, or whether you don't like Nick Townsend or Ryan Innes, to be picking on those players individually, and obviously Robbie Wilmot's the worst one for that. Picking on players individually like that, I just don't see what the benefit is on picking 8 players like that, because there's a good chance that they're going to see it. When they look at that and think, I work bloody hard for this football club. We might not be doing that well this season, but I work bloody hard. Why should I bother if this is what the fans are going to say about me? Yeah, they're getting paid.
Sometimes it's a case of a scapegoat, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think. If one player has maybe had a poorer performance than the rest of them, people will point at them and say, that's how poor we were, and yeah.
So I'll be fair. This is one of the strongest League Two collection of clubs that I've seen in League Two for a long time. Well, teams. So I mean, I think there's a lot of teams out there who were very, very good this year. Who, I just think, we're no worse or better than last year, but I did in a Skype call like this pinpoint what the problem is, really, statistically, if you look at it. We're scoring a lot less goals, but we're also conceding a lot less goals than the following season. So Flynn has obviously altered his system to suit conceding less goals, because he probably thought that if we could maintain our attack and concede less, we'll do a hell of a lot better than last year and possibly finish in the top 3, which I think he was aiming for at the beginning of the season. But his change of system has altered to protecting the defence that much that it's had a detrimental effect on our attack.
Yeah, and you can see it, the way that the Podges is tracking back so much more than he used to, and we're not utilising him as a striker, and that just goes to show we've got much more of a kind of a defensive mindset, the fact that he wants the whole team to defend as a unit. You just got to look at how many players we get behind the ball when we're defending.
I mean, we had a 40-plus goal strike force the season before.
Yeah.
Maybe Flynn was resting on his laurels a bit, thinking, well, I got 2 strikers who are going to score goals, so if I concentrate more on my defence, we should still be winning games quite comfortably.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he didn't think the whole thing through. But at the end of the day, this season's pretty much a write-off for a lot of reasons now anyway. Hopefully, he can tweak that system to still have an expressive attacking freedom within the team, but also keeping an eye on the defence. So hopefully there is enough within the system to tweak it to make it better.
And he's still learning.
Yeah.
A couple of really, really good years where we have punched above our weight. I think he's learned a lot as a manager. Obviously, like you said, he's tried to change things this year, and it hasn't gone the way that maybe he would have hoped. So yeah. I can see him changing it again, for next season, whenever that is.
Whatever it'll be, yeah.
And I, for one, I'm quite interested to see what he does, to be honest. I'd like to see him strengthen the midfield. I mean, we've been saying that all along. I think he's tried to do that with the new players that he's brought in. And when to be honest, we haven't really seen enough of them, I don't think. There's not been enough time to see that midfield gel with the new faces, I think. I'm just trying to think of the name of that one player that we signed. What was that player from? Is it Mansfield we signed him from? I'm forgetting people now.
So the main loan signings that we managed to get were Otis Khan and Jordan Green. Obviously, we have
Coleman Green's a good signing,
and
he seems to have come a long way since we last had him over here. Seems to put himself about a bit. He's sprinting all over the place. He's actually going in for tackles, which is really nice to see. I think he's shaking things up a bit, for such a small little guy,
Yeah. I tell you what, right? I don't know why, but his name is slipping my mind at the moment, and I've been very, very positive about him. The boy we got on loan from Leyton Orient, the midfield boy. I can't think of.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean. It's the thing, it's been so long now, isn't it? Well, it's only been a month. Yeah.
I'm going to get Google it for me now. Gorman, isn't it?
Gorman, yeah. I've been impressed with him, yeah.
I was impressed with him, and I wasn't impressed with the signing because it was signing a player from a team that had been poorer than us season as a player that couldn't get into their first team. But then I'm looking at him, I'm thinking, why isn't he in their first team? Maybe his style doesn't suit them, but suits us.
Yeah.
His way of playing. But I'd be interested to see if we can keep any of them loan players, or at least sign any of them on a permanent, for the rest of this season if we're going to carry it on. And then to go into next season, I'd definitely like to see Gorman in the heart of our midfield.
Yeah.
Imagine a Gorman, Sheehan, and Labadi midfield. I think that would be a strong midfield.
And I think maybe Khan coming off the bench as well. I think
Khan playing a more advanced role. Instead of utilising full-backs, play a back four with the defensive system he's got with the back four. Have Gorman sitting in the hole as like a quarterback, as he can fizz the passes here, there, and everywhere. Have Sheehan as your attacking sort of playmaker, have Labadi as a box-to-box, but then maybe have Khan just behind the two strikers then, as that support in a support forward type of role.
Sort of in the hole, I suppose.
In their hole, yeah. Fucking put him in their hole, plug our hole with Gorman, and have him spraying balls around the pitch. It's a system that could work, especially if you've got Hammond and Matt at front.
Yeah. So you're thinking kind of a diamond midfield?
Yeah, I think a diamond midfield would work. I mean, it worked for Luton with Nathan Jones. Why not for us?
I think what you get there is balance. You've got a rock solid defensive midfielder there. You've got an attacking midfielder as well, and then you've got the two kind of workhorses in the middle that'll do a bit of both. I think the one thing, I mean, in your system, would we be playing with wing backs?
Well, that's the thing. There wouldn't be wing backs if it's a back four. There'll be full backs, which would look to get forward, but they would alternate depending on which side the ball was going down. So if the ball was going down the left side, then our left back would go forward, right back would stay back. Have an alternating, full back going forward type system, depending on which side the play is going down. Make the midfield breathable so they can expand out and all that as well. Have them where if we're on the ball, this will be your position. You two push out. Khan can float between the two wings if he needs to as well. There's a lot of minor details you can put into that system that can allow you to express, through the wide areas. But that there wouldn't be the ideal system for me personally. I've got a system I like to use, and I always use it on pretty much every football game that I play on. Or if I was ever a football manager, it'd be the one that I'd want. So it'd be a 4-3-3. What we'd have is a regular back four with support fullbacks. You'd have a defensive midfielder who would act as a defensive playmaker or the quarterback position, like I said for Dale Coleman, with your attacking playmaker and your box-to-box. So that part of the midfield is how I'd like to see it. But because we've got two good strikers we want to play together, that's why I was going for the two strikers with the player just behind. In which case, usually I'd have a one striker with two inside forwards. So you'd have someone right-footed on the left who can cut inside on their right foot, and then vice versa on the right. But then with a strong enough foot to be able to put the ball into the box with their weak foot if they needed to. But then I don't think our balls over the top into the box are working at the moment. I don't think the quality of the ball going in. So I think the best way is to cut in and exploit through the middle. But I might be wrong. Who am I? I sell bearings for a living, so I'm not a football manager. Maybe there's a reason for that.
I mean, every manager favours their own system, don't they? I mean, I think when Finney started off, I think it's quite interesting. I think he was using Justin Edinburgh's system a bit, wasn't he? And that was quite nice to see. And I think that's probably part of the reason that we overachieved so much, in such a short amount of time.
Yeah,
because he brought that kind of spirit with him, and a couple of players that we had as well. You had Pipey and you had Wilmot, who were used to play in that system. That actually brings me to my next point. I think we do miss some really good wing play at the moment.
We made the most of a lot of wing play last season, didn't we? With Will on the right and Butler down the left.
I do love a bit, a good bit of wing play. Personally, and I think Wilmot is, he's a player pretty much born to play in that kind of winger role, isn't he?
Wingers are becoming a bit of a dying breed, aren't they? Because a lot of people are favouring the more of your inside forwards, type role, or you're just attacking midfielders, behind the strikers rather than wingers. I think wing play can still play a big part in football going forward, and we can utilise that, to our advantage, then happy days.
Perhaps I'm just a bit old-fashioned. I like my wingers.
Yeah, I think a lot of people revert back to the so-called good old days, when it comes to football, don't they? Yeah. Talking about the other day.
Go on.
I was talking about the other day to someone because I've got a buddy at one of our suppliers up in Derby who lives in Nottingham, and he's a Notts County supporter. And I said to him, I wish I could have been alive during the 70s and obviously been old enough to go to football in the 80s, because I feel like there was something a lot more to it then than what there is now. It was a proper working man's game back then. Whereas now it's very family orientated, very money orientated, all businesses and families involved. Where before it was the working class man, you and all your mates from that steelworks who were working in all the mills or whatever, or wherever, you'd all congregate for, and have a drink before and after. I mean, people still do that now, but you see the kids. There's nothing wrong with the kids. Football's gone in a direction now where family is very much a relevant thing when it comes to the games and that now. It's just the way the game is now. It's like the knocking down of the terraces. Like I said that I actually got to stand on the cop. That's the one thing I took from old school football, is that I stood on the cop before it went on. I just think, football's gone in a different direction. And I'm not saying I'm against the direction it's gone in. I just would have liked to have experienced it back then as well.
I think it's trying to appeal to a wider demographic now, isn't it? You bring families in, you're going to get more women interested in football, for one thing. That's something that's growing, which is only going to be good for the women's game as well. And then obviously, you got kids as well, and they're the future of football. So I think over the next, say, 10 to 20 years, the kind of game that we're going to see is going to be vastly different to what we've got now. It's going to be far more family orientated, and I'd like to say it's probably going to be more money in it as well. But what you were saying before about it being a working man's game and everything, I quite like that. And actually, there's a really good Netflix series. I don't know if you've seen it, The English Game.
I have seen it on there, and I looked at it and I thought, actually, that could be worth a watch.
I'd highly recommend that to you and anybody watching. It's a good little series, that. So if you want to get your football fix, there's another good one on there. No matter what your opinion on Sunderland, but there's a good series on there called Sunderland Till I Die. That's another good one for your football fix.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I wish you told me about this before you promoted these programs. I could have negotiated some kind of royalties deal with them, for promoting their stuff. But
I'm getting paid for it, ka-ching. Paid endorsement, yeah.
I'll be round from my half after lockdown, then, mate.
Now I've already spent it on toilet roll and wet wipes and stuff.
Yeah, you've got stash as well, have you?
I don't bulk buy. I don't take the mick with that.
I'm not a hoarder. I don't know, like the arseholes out there.
Well, that's the thing. Arseholes need a lot of toilet paper. That's the problem,
Arseholes need a lot of toilet paper, and that is quote. Well done. Arseholes need a lot of toilet paper. Perfect. And on that note, mate, we've been going for nearly 40 minutes, believe it or not.
Nearly half football, that.
I know. That's what football does to us, mate. I mean, I was talking to a supplier on the phone the other day, a different one to the Notts County fan. He's an Arsenal fan, this one. And me and him were just talking football for about 20 minutes before we spoke about, the business we needed to speak about. So it was mad. But, mate, I really appreciate you joining me today, and hopefully those who are watching this have enjoyed the video. Tom, one of the founding members of the formerly County Choir, now the Amber Army. There's not many of us left. But, thanks for joining me, mate. It's been a pleasure catching up with you as well.
Yeah, definitely. Have to do it again.
Absolutely, 100%, mate. So for those of you watching, we're going to say cheerio now. Me and Tom are going to continue our conversation in private, so fuck you. No. But thanks for watching. Cheerio for now, and as always, up the county. Tom, I'll get you in a second. Good man. Many thanks for watching the latest content on the Amber Army channel. Please make sure you leave us a like. Make sure you subscribe for more content, both for the neutral football fan and also plenty of Newport County. Even more Newport County content can be found on the club's iFollow channel on the link above. It is just £4.49 per month to subscribe to that service. And those of you feeling extra generous can also support us on Patreon on the link at the bottom there. That would be a monthly donation of your choice. Thank you again. Make sure you've subscribed, and as always, up the county.